All right, we're back. I wanted somebody else to do the intro, but I realized as it was counting down. But we're discussing preseason day. We got Hard Knocks. We got a bunch to catch up on. We're going to try to make it quick, but we got a lot of talking points, so we can just jump right into it if you guys want to take it away. Tom, did you have the?
I always start, man.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I don't want the spotlight on me. There's
Oh.
so much to talk about. Let's start out. I got it. Let's start.
Okay, he's got it.
Let's start by. We got our first action. Caleb Williams, preseason game. We got 2 drives from him. Let's talk about some thoughts. Just overall, the team, the defense, starting defense.
What did we get? 22 snaps out of Caleb, right?
What was it?
22 snaps.
Yeah, I heard
20 snaps.
Eberflus just wanted to do 1 possession, but he didn't like how we the first possession went. That could be fake news, but
no, that's breaking news. You heard it here first, folks. Don't forget. Fake news.
Yeah, I really liked what we saw out of Caleb for his first NFL action. We got to see him in a few different scenarios. Backed up against the goal line and then driving down the field. That opening drive, he did a great job driving down the field as well. He converted on some third downs. He made some throws on the move off platform. He made some throws in the pocket. Overall, small sample size, but I think he did a great job, promising. And I've already been telling people I don't think it's too early to start having, dynasty GOAT type conversations about where Chicago is headed. So I'll leave it there.
So to add to that a little bit, stoke the fire. I feel like, a lot of teams are realizing that when you've got that young quarterback, that the Jordan Love model doesn't really work so well. You got to make the most of what you've got when you've got it.
Shots fired.
And well, obviously, yeah, no shame there. But I think there's also been some talk about getting potentially Judon on the defensive line as another rusher or edge rusher. So I don't know. I feel like that still remains to be speculation. So, I don't want to comment too much on that. But I feel like if that does come to fruition, then that's a big sign that we're going to, go ahead and.
So today, Atlanta traded a 3rd-round pick for Matthew Judon from the Patriots.
3rd-round pick?
Yeah, 3rd-round pick. And the Bears were right up there with the Falcons. I don't know if they were hesitant to give up 3rd-round pick. I don't know if Judon was left to decide and said, I want to go to Atlanta instead, but they didn't get the deal done. Atlanta did. So, that leaves
defense is sick.
The other big name out there right now is Hassan Reddick, obviously. And the Jets have said they're not going to trade him, right? So the only way that that's going to happen is if the Bears make them an offer that they can't refuse, which I don't know what that would look like. Probably – now you're not talking about a 3rd-round pick. You're probably talking about a 2nd-round pick at least. But if you can imagine for a moment Bears defensive line with Montez Sweat on one side and Hassan Reddick on the other, along with, what they've got going on the offensive side of the ball and then on the back end of the defense, that is a pretty formidable team. And, I had sent the meme to you guys about after there was some chatter about Judon coming to the Bears, and it was Thanos getting the last Infinity Stone, right? That's kind of what this feels like, is if they're able to get a deal done and bring in a guy like Judon or like Hassan Reddick, that is really going to propel this team into success for this year. So I don't know if it's possible. I don't know what they'd have to give up to get a guy like Reddick in the door, but they should definitely be having those conversations with the Jets and at least feeling it out.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think I hadn't seen the Judon news yet. So thank you for allowing me not to make myself a fool in that situation, because I had high hopes for that, for Judon being a potential addition to the defense. I had seen a couple of days ago a 3 or a 4 for Judon, so that ended up being exactly right on the money with that one in terms of what Atlanta gave up to bring him in. I think that's good value for him. I would have liked to have seen maybe what the Bears counter offer was there. I think Reddick would probably, I honestly think that he might pull in a first round draft pick. I mean, conservatively, he's a top 10 edge rusher in the league right now. I mean, some people could probably argue he's even closer to top 5. So if you're talking about what is outside of quarterback, the next premium position within the league, I think it's easy for the Jets to say, hey, we don't have any real interest in trading him because they know that they're going to be asking a whole lot for him.
Right.
And it may not be super realistic for a lot of teams to be giving that kind of capital up so late in the off season. I mean, we're getting ready to fire things up. So would have loved to seen Judon come in, but on that note, and this is something that we were kind of touching on before we started, Austin Booker, who was a kind of a later round draft pick and what some people might have seen as a little bit of a reach in the draft, I think was credited with 3 sacks in the Buffalo game. One of those was maybe not 100% attributed to his own effort. He kind of cleaned up on one, but if he can make progress and I think what would end up being like more of a platoon to go opposite of Montez Sweat, I think that that could be the approach this year. And who knows? There are still some kind of one-off free agents out there that if they wanted to, they could probably go grab somebody. But I think we had 5 sacks in that Buffalo game, which is good to see. It sounds like Dexter, I know Pickens had 1 sack. If those two, who were both rookies last year, can make some progress on the interior, and you've got a real presence there, that's just as good as having 2 premier guys on the edge. So be interested to see if anything does happen there. Going back to Caleb, if I could throw my 2 cents in on that topic as well. I love the enthusiasm and the willingness to just be like, okay, this is the guy. And I kind of am in the same boat at the present moment. It was very impressive to me. Obviously, there's a few plays that stand out, first of which is like a screen pass, and screen passes are, depending on the screen pass, it's kind of like they can look a lot cooler than they actually are in terms of what sort of technical proficiencies go into it. For a quarterback, you're literally just pretending you don't see this pass rush coming at you and then just dumping the ball off. But there was an element of like gamesmanship to it, in my opinion. He was baiting them a little bit, like kind of waiting for that rush to get to him, and really selling that dump off to Swift, which is really cool to see out of such a young player. It seems like there is a little bit of on-field maturity in terms of like his ability. He seemed like he was processing well, and obviously it's preseason, so like your defenses are not throwing everything they can at you. And
sure.
If you're prepared, chances are
you're kind of hamstringed as an offense as well. So
absolutely, I'm sure there's a limited play sheet for the offense as well. But I was very happy with what I saw from Caleb Williams. I'm pumped.
My chair just broke. Oh no, guys!
All right, Tom.
He was so good it broke Tom's chair.
Well, I think let's just be honest here. I think my dad broke it when he was here, helped me with my electrical. But that big boy.
And not just Caleb, but like as a whole, what do you think of the preseason so far? And you can go.
Preseason.
Yeah. Still good to see the Dubs, though.
Yeah, we're 2-0. We're 3-0 last year, though, so, take it with a grain of salt. I liked how we moved the ball. Running the ball looks pretty good, with both Sweat and our new guy.
Swift.
Or Swift, sorry. Swift
Yeah,
and I'm blanking on his other guy. I don't know. But they both were moving the ball looking.
Khalil Herbert?
Roshan?
Yeah, thank you.
Ian Wheeler? All of our running backs look good, honestly.
Yeah. Our defense looked good. And, like you were saying, the athletic ability of Caleb, it's like watching Justin Fields last year and then now watching Caleb, it's like, this is what I'm talking about. Like I haven't felt that for a little bit, and I'm just like, this is what I should be. There's hope, and it's way different kind of hope. So that's exciting, and yeah.
You know what's happening is I remember towards the end of the season last year we were talking about the Justin Fields cult. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
How people were so brainwashed. It was like, oh, he doesn't have the pieces around him and all this. It's like, no, he isn't going to get the job done. Okay, he just doesn't have the
Luke had to go off camera because he knows you're just directly talking about him.
But yeah, you guys had finally awoken from the Justin Fields cult, and you're like, man, that we were under a trance or something.
Justin Fields.
I want to come back, Tom, to the run game. In particular, in Buffalo,
and the protection of Caleb. I know we had a couple linemen down, but I feel like he had to scramble a couple times. But how he stepped up in the pocket, that was there, created by our line. He stepped up a few times, like on that third down conversion. That was huge for me. Like he didn't look nervous. He didn't look scared of the pocket collapsing. Or, it just go on about our run game. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Luke touched on the depth, I think, the depth of the running back room before we went live here. And, with guys like DeAndre Swift, with Roshan Johnson, with Herbert, Travis Homer, and then like icing on the cake, who was featured pretty well in this last
who I was thinking of
Hard Knocks is Ian Wheeler, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, the guy who got admitted to med school that has a dream to play in the NFL, like, dude,
you always want a smart guy on your team.
You're awesome.
And it looks like his heart rate is at like 24 beats a minute, just like cool as hell.
And then you see him cut and hit some of these holes in practice, and it looks like he's the fastest guy you've ever seen. And he had a great game. He was the second highest PFF rated player for the Buffalo game.
Wow.
At 90.7.
And with Johnson being
he had 2 touchdowns. He ran between the tackles. He ran outside. Oh, and you know what? We're not even talking about Velus Jones. So you've got 6 guys that you can put in the backfield behind Caleb and give defenses trouble. And they all have unique skill sets that they can bring to the table and use to exploit offenses or defenses. So, I think we're in a good position. Obviously, we're not going to be able to keep all those guys. But from a standpoint of I think the coaches and the front office are going to have a good problem in that they're really going to have to look long and hard at who they want to keep back there. So, and I think that kind of comes back to Shane Waldron too and how he's implemented the offense. On that side of the ball, the run game, which Chicago has always been, more suited towards, I think it's going to be another great year for that part of the game as well.
Do we know the Roshan Johnson injury right now?
He's back now, but he was for the Hall of Fame game.
I thought he was hurt for week 2.
I don't remember seeing him against the Bills. He definitely played in the Hall of Fame game against the Texans. On the depth of the position, like Jesse said, there's a good chance. Obviously, one of these guys, maybe 2 of them, aren't going to make the team.
Right.
And just given my previous, I don't want to say experiences because I didn't experience them. I watched them on a television show. I wasn't actually there as much as I wanted to be.
You
I
experienced.
don't see things ending well for Ian Wheeler, despite the fact that he does seem like a great guy. I think that he's going to be the odd man out here, and then next in line might be Travis Homer, who was an addition last year from Seattle. Kind of a platoon guy in the past. I think that the three guys at the top are pretty clear in terms of Swift, Herbert, Roshan Johnson. And then I think there is a little bit of an entrancement going on with Velas. I don't know if I personally love it, but I think his versatility, if you can keep a guy on the roster who can play two positions, that value is just something that you can't get that obviously from someone whose only availability is one position. So I think that will help him. I mean, they're making it very cliche in relation to how they're portraying the whole thing on Hard Knocks, and we can get into maybe some of the artistic choices that have been taken during the Hard Knocks or this season of the Hard Knocks show on HBO. But yeah, I'd like to see Wheeler make the team. He seems like a cool guy. I just don't know if there's space for him, especially with some of the additions coming in this offseason.
UDFA.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and go on your monologue about the
Yeah, I can do that. So here's the deal with Hard Knocks. This is like when it falls on your team, when your team is chosen, and it just happens to coincide with the year that your team is adding first overall pick, new franchise quarterback. Like this should be a literal hype train every week. Like you should be leaving the episode like ready to run through a brick wall, right? First off, what the hell happened yesterday? Couldn't watch it for like 2 hours. Like what I don't know. I stopped looking into it, but what the hell was that? You know?
Yeah.
So that can't happen nowadays, you know?
Yeah, that's unacceptable. 2, they seem to be really kind of leaning into maybe like the spirit of Chicago with like the blues themes. A lot of the music is going that route, which, okay, that's great. That's true to the city, I suppose. Again, I need to be hyped up. Like I need to be like, I would prefer to stand rather than sit and watch this show. Because that's how I watch the games is I'm like, I can't sit down because I'm a lunatic. I should be feeling that same way when watching Hard Knocks. So let's pump the brakes on the piano and the jazz bands, and let's I mentioned let's get Chief Keef on the show. Like let's get let's bump up the decibels a little bit here. That's just me. Other people may be watching the show thinking it's been a great season thus far. I love the team. Obviously, there's some characters there.
So you're saying Hard Knocks needs to do a better job?
I mean the team's fine. Like there's nothing that I'm seeing from the team that I'm like, oh god, like this guy, he's kind of
that's good.
A douchebag or whatever, anything like that. Obviously, watching the Jets last year, I was. It's just like I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. Please just stop.
I've never seen any Hard Knocks. Giants. I don't know who was before the Giants, but I know the Giants made it kind of big because of their dealings with Saquon, right? I mean, that was
so Hard Knocks has been around for a long time, Tom. I know you have mentioned you'd never seen it before. It's been around for a really long time, actually. What you're referring to is Hard Knocks off season, which did focus on the Giants this year.
Okay.
I think there's just going to do Hard Knocks year round moving forward. So there's going to be in season, off season, and then training camp, which essentially preseason what Bears.
So how long are they following the Bears?
It'll be to the end of the preseason. So 2 more games.
then
And
you're
they'll
done
take
with
you
them.
through yeah. And then the in-season team, I think they've already announced, but I can't remember who it's going to be.
I thought it was
year.
all year, just
The
fair.
Cardinals?
No,
No, they did the Cardinals last year.
I think it was the Dolphins last year.
Oh.
Maybe the Dolphins the year before.
Is it the Cardinals this year? That might be
It
it.
might be.
That might be
But
kind of
either way, like I'm being nitpicky with Hard Knocks. It's
No,
great
I
to see
agree.
get that insight with the team. I just want it to be a little more like old school YouTube hype video, like highlight reel. Like it just feels very like
Right.
dun, 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 like an ESPN, like, you know.
I don't know what that was. I have no idea what that was.
That was I can't explain it, but I've seen a video with that Devin Hester YouTube video, like.
Yeah, exactly, Tommy. This should be like Devin Hester Miami.
Yeah.
Highlights. Like that should be the whole episode.
Yeah.
It's not that hard if you have cameras around all the time to just make it look super badass.
Do some it's the music that you can have guys running through pads in the practice and like just like catching balls, and if you have the right music, it's gonna look badass, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm with you. If they have a bunch of classical music and shit, like I'm not on board. That sounds boring a little bit.
Yeah. Also, like there's a big focus on Eberflus's new facial hair. It's like, guys, like
don't care.
Like show me like old fucking Dick Butkus highlights.
To be fair, we did touch on how
like
Dark Eberflus is kind of badass, but like you said, if it's going, if it's overdone, it's like
it is overdone, Tom.
Now it's
overdone.
Yeah.
We got his wife talking about how attractive she finds him. It's just like, okay, we get it. He's a handsome guy. I agree. Like, let's go. Like, put the pads on.
Yeah.
It's not bubbling, And there's just it's lacking a little bit in that area, but they've got some time to make it up. So maybe in the next couple episodes we'll see a little shift. I mean, things could not be going better in terms of the way they've played thus far, which makes for that, like you're not sitting there like, oh, I just watched them get the shit kicked out of themselves for, in the game on Sunday, and now I'm going to watch it again on Tuesday night with Hard Knocks, just relive it.
True.
At least it's just sick. So that's cool.
What?
Wow. Yeah, look, I think the opening really stands out, like you were saying with the jazz music, as well as just that there's just nobody on the Chicago River out there.
Yeah, they're just doing an architecture tour on the river with like a few guys from the team. It's like,
what are we doing?
Crazy.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, get some more football in there. Like, I need to watch this bad boy.
Yeah, you do. Well, somebody needs to give Tom their HBO login.
Yeah, I think I got one, or I just need to pay for HBO because it's a great streaming service. But
there's a lot of movies on HBO.
No free plugs.
Yeah, sorry.
HBO
it's Max now.
I did want to talk about a little bit of how you guys are feeling about our division right now. What other teams in our division are doing, making moves, hurt, injuries.
It's almost like you're trying to lead us somewhere specifically.
We could always talk about the Packers and.
I think he was. I think Wargo was talking about JJ McCarthy. You want to touch on that, Works?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as a podcast here, as a show, I don't know if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, obviously it is tough to not root for injury. And I think that is what the stance that we're going to maintain on this. Jordan Love does seem like a great quarterback, or JJ McCarthy seems like a great quarterback rather. Gosh, got me just going down a rabbit hole here. But no, I think he's going to have a bright future ahead of him. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see like an Aaron Rodgers type comeback just because that's like fresh in the water recently. So he might try to push that meniscus return. But with a rookie, I feel like you don't really take that risk as a franchise. So I don't know. I mean, it's very unfortunate there. I think, we want to have the best competition in our division, like I said. And I think he was probably going to take over pretty early on.
They said Sam Darnold has been the starter, and I think I'm a little nervous with Sam Darnold and their offensive firepower.
You're nervous of Sam Darnold.
Okay, I know where he's been, and the teams that he has been on, they're not great, and they're not great. They didn't have the infrastructure that the Minnesota Vikings have, and he's young, and he's been good in college. Where did he go to college?
Sam
USC.
Darnold?
Wherever I watched him, it might have been. Was he good in the NFL the first year? Either way,
He's played for the Jets, the Carolina Panthers, the 49ers, and now the Vikings.
Okay. Well, did he play for the 49ers?
USC?
He played for the 49ers last year.
But did he play?
He played 1 or 2 or 3 games or something like that.
All right. Well, I know that he has a bad rap for like just,
third overall pick.
Yeah, but I think he's just had some down years, but there's a chance that this guy could break out this year. So I'm a little bit, I don't know, with Addison and their tight end over there. They got Josh Jacobs now. Or not Josh Jacobs. Aaron Jones.
We've got the Packers curse just in our brain.
Yeah. I can see them making some noise a little bit that people don't expect them to.
I see the point you're trying to make, Tom, but I think we got bigger fish to fry with him.
I agree.
The Vikings, I mean, from just
they're not going to be a shoe win, is what I guess because we got to beat the Vikings if we have any chance in the division.
Absolutely. I'm not completely dismissing them.
What would constitute a shoe win?
I think he means like a shoe-in win. Just like an easy checkbox on the schedule. I agree with you, Tom. I don't think they are that either. I think they're a competent team. I think Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. You're right. They do have a lot of weapons on the offensive side. I think Aaron Jones is an upgrade from Madison last year. I think the defense is going to be their big concern.
That's true.
They lost Danielle Hunter to Houston. But again, I think obviously Detroit and Green Bay. Detroit is obviously coming off an amazing year, trying to and nearly making it to the Super Bowl. They are loaded. They're a very deep team. They're good on both fronts in terms of offensive line, defensive line. And then the Packers is just like it's a psychological thing with Chicago, right?
They're struggling as well, though.
Like it wouldn't matter.
Afloat. How are the Packers going to pay everybody? And I don't know. I guess they've got that sorted out already, but I just feel like the franchise is. I mean, they're spending some money over there in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Right.
So frankly, well, they're paying Jordan Love. They're not paying any of their wide receivers.
Yeah, they're young.
They're paying still. Josh Jacobs. AJ Dillon, I'm sure, is on a very manageable contract. They're probably paying a few of their linemen decent money, but not top of the league contracts. And then
they don't have Bakhtiari anymore.
They might be paying 3 or 4, key players, but they're paying Jordan Love. And
I guess that's what I'm fixated on.
Well, until they end up identifying 1 or 2 of these wide receivers that they've drafted as the guys they're going to keep long term, and they're going to have to pay them. That's going to create more problems for them. But they're still young enough. Christian Watson might be a guy that's approaching the end of his rookie contract, but all these other guys, they drafted 3 or 4 guys last year that seem to be very competent wide receivers. But frankly, I don't think it matters what these other teams are doing within the division. I think with what Chicago has done in the offseason, the pieces that they brought in, the new offensive coordinator, we have put ourselves in a position to be competitive in these games. And, it feels like the whole culture and the whole mindset of the organization has flipped. And now we are not the hunted, but we are going to be hunting and going head to head with some of these teams that have had our number for a long time.
I'm excited. We're going to have some good division games.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The Vikings coming back to them. I don't know. They can't really run the ball. That's been a problem for them in recent history. Darnold is a downgrade, I think, from Kirk Cousins. I don't think their passing game is going to be as prolific as it was. And there's still some questions on the defensive side of the ball. So I think our defense will be able to manage their offensive firepower, and our defense is going to I said that backwards. So our offense is going to be able to overpower their defense pretty easily.
I got you.
The other two
we split the games with Detroit last year. Like if the team from last year can split those games with Detroit, like you said, Jesse, I mean they're going to be competitive.
I don't think Detroit's going to be as good.
Any particular reason why?
I don't know. Just a feeling.
Just a vibe thing.
Yeah.
I honestly, Tom, I don't like. I think there's a decent chance, and my reasoning behind that would be they lost to a team like the Bears last year. Like they are a team that seems like and it kind of builds off of who their head coach is, and Dan Campbell. This is a guy who's like, you come to play. Yes, exactly, Tom. Like you come to play to win the fucking game, right? Yeah. And like sometimes when you have that mentality, you take risks that are just like, we had that in the bag. Like we play it conservatively and we win that game. And they do not do that. It's like every game is the Super Bowl.
He could lose them which doing that.
That's also a double-edged sword.
Also, I don't know if they've made like much moves this offseason. I think whereas other teams in the division have. Like I don't even know who they drafted. They drafted defense, right?
I don't recall. I think you're right. I don't think they did make a ton of moves in the offseason. They didn't really need to. Like I said, their roster is already deep.
That's true.
They're good on the offensive and defensive fronts, which is, in my opinion, like where you need to start. You have to be able to protect the quarterback, and you have to be able to rush the quarterback, and they do both of those things pretty well.
That's true.
And obviously I can't remember what their draft looked like this year, but they had some hits last year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell on the defensive side. They're a good team, but they can be a little bit volatile. So division wise, I'm excited to see what those games look like. Obviously we kind of touched on it on one of the episodes earlier in the off season, but we have an extremely backloaded division schedule. We play like all of our division games in the second half of the year, just back to 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 back. And we had kind of touched on it at the time, but I'll be interested to see how that goes. Like if it provides more of a ramp up period for Caleb Williams to become more familiar with the offense, get acclimated with the league, the speed, his teammates, and those things before they go into what could potentially be the most important games of the year. Usually division games are, but if we go into those games with a decent record already, we really could be like putting ourselves in a position to make a run at the playoffs realistically this year. I don't think that's out of the question. The roster is improved. Caleb looked decent in the first game. We can be kind of crazy and optimistic. We can't be too presumptuous about that until we see him play more. But he looked decent, and I think it's a realistic possibility that they could make a run to the playoffs. A playoff run.
Super Bowl or bust, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly, Tom. That's exactly.
No, I think that the Bears are doing a good job not hyping him up too much. I don't know, it's coming out at Hard Knocks at all. Like the fans and the media, obviously, we're hyping it up.
Right, that's our job.
Yeah, but hopefully the team, which it seems they aren't as, they understand he's a rookie and he's going to have some growing pains, and we are going to see those and be like, oh, but I think it's just part of the process. So, and hopefully we can just overcome those mistakes and win some games no matter what, and get better throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, division's tough division, like we said, backloaded. I don't know, Luke. I think there's a real chance that we could make, I don't know, like you said, if how far we'll go within that playoff run, but to win a playoff game, I feel like is within reason for this year, and that's just an exciting thing for the first time in a long time. I feel like we do have that, sense of jaded past where we always are optimistic and try to find, things to look forward to. And I mean, I'm definitely the worst about that. Hand up, Chase Claypool and a few other guys. Nate Davis, I think I was optimistic on as well. So
He's back though.
It doesn't feel like that though. It doesn't feel like we're grasping for straws and trying to like pick somebody who nobody else has seen. Like, oh, like this guy, like you probably haven't heard of him, but he's going to be an uprising star. It's like, no, like we've got guys who are actually stars, like we've got high expectations for good reason. So, and I mean, like even at work and stuff like that, I'll usually wear a Bears hat. And like everybody's like, every single person, like, oh, like, what do you think about this year and stuff like that? Whereas previously it would be like, oh, you like the Bears? Sorry. And it's like, it's a different vibe all around. So I'm super excited for it. I don't know if you had anything to add there, Jesse, but I did have one thing that we could wrap on here, just a quick one to kind of put a bow on this episode.
Yeah, don't you work from home?
Yeah, that's why I wear hats.
But you don't wear a Bears hat for the podcast. You wear one for work though.
Okay, I just showered and my hair is like freshly clean.
The only thing I gotta say is you guys, we're going to the playoffs, okay? And we're making a run deep.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one that's saying this, all right? There's some people that, there's a prominent talking heads, which normally, yes, okay, they're idiots, all right? But when they say things that agree with my own thinking, then they're not. Then they're smart. Okay. Yeah. And my thinking is that they're going to win the division. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're probably going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You know what gets under my skin still? Is the comments that they're like, oh, Caleb, it's preseason. Caleb's a bust. And it's just like, what if?
Who said that?
Don't let him get under your skin, Tom.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
And next time, hire an electrician next time, Tom. Huh?
Yeah. Hey, my fingers are still raw from those damn wires.
It's not good.
The wires.
So, closing question, though. I was going to tee it up here, but I was typing on the wrong keyboard. And my work computer was just spazzing out. But I was wondering, so Bengals have come out and said they're not going to play their starters in this second preseason game. Is that going to have any sort of bearing as to what we'll do on our side, or do you think that we're going to be independent of what they say? I guess just kind of your guys' thoughts there.
My personal thoughts are no one should ever do anything based off of the actions of any other person or entity. So if our guys need more reps,
right? Art of War.
I don't know.
It sounds like something like that.
That's a big, Sun Tzu. He's a big Nick Saban guy for sure.
Okay. Well, I agree. If our guys need reps, which I don't think it would hurt for them to be out there for a series or two, then I would expect to see that. And honestly, I'm a little bit hopeful that they do that and they continue to build a little bit more off that good performance last week. Obviously, you don't want to show your hand too much in the preseason, but we got a lot of young guys and a lot of guys that are playing together, for their first times, right? So just continue to build that chemistry in a real game type situation. I think it's necessary. So I'm thinking that we'll see some of the starters. Yeah.
Yeah.
The JJ McCarthy thing has just got me a little bit spooked. I don't know.
Can't be scared.
Oh, I did want to make a comment about that. So McCarthy, why are we talking about McCarthy like he's gonna have a promising career? He
did have a good start in that preseason game. He threw an interception, but he did have statistically he had a good game.
I mean, I bet I could go look up some stats from Josh Rosen's rookie year, and he probably had a good preseason game too. But that's his comp. Like,
I mean, that's the benefit of the doubt that you get when you're your first round pick right now at a quarterback.
Let him prove himself.
You get
where
the benefit
was
of the
Josh
doubt.
Rosen drafted?
Let him prove himself.
He got the benefit of the doubt
was
and
Cam Donald,
at the time as well. I mean, people were like, Josh Rosen could be the sleeper of this draft. I remember those conversations. Like, is he actually the best quarterback here? Like, you don't know until you know, right? Like, we can apply that same school of thought to Caleb Williams. Obviously, we're not holding back there, right? So
it's not the same.
JJ, I don't give a shit about JJ.
Don't compare JJ
best
to
of luck.
Caleb.
He's
best
out
of
this
luck.
year. He's out.
Best of luck with rehab.
It is
whatever.
weird. It is weird that he tore his MCL meniscus, and he's out the whole year. That's a little odd, right?
Well, he had the opportunity to. I heard Schefter going on about like this option or that option. I don't know. It doesn't matter. To answer Warrior's question, I would like to see the younger guys and starters get some more reps in this next game against Cincinnati, regardless of whether or not they're going to play their starters. Wargo, you and I were kind of touching on it before we started, but I don't think Rome got a lot of opportunity in that first game. I mean, he was on the field, which is great. Getting reps like on the field against ones, regardless of whether or not you're getting a target or even a catch, whatever it may be, getting on the field and getting those reps is important. But I'd like to see them try to incorporate him a little bit more and just, get the ball in his hands, manufacture some plays that are designed to easily put the ball in his hands and let him work a little bit. Obviously following this game against Cincinnati, I think we've only got one left after that. And, traditionally with preseason, I like the traditional kind of approach to preseason, which is first game, starters get a series or two. Second game, maybe they play a couple more series, maybe a little bit closer to a quarter. Last game of the preseason, everybody sits. You let your deep, third, fourth stringers show what they've got. Give those guys an opportunity to make the team. Rest your starters. Let them get mentally prepped for the regular season. Again, like you're saying, Wargo, don't take any further risks. Like there's no need to put anybody out there and potentially see an injury. But I think the team is young enough and the core is still new enough where obviously Caleb's, I mean, those snaps in the last game is the first time Caleb's ever played with these guys. Like this isn't Justin again, where, he's got experience with DJ and Cole Kmet and, Roshan and Khalil, like they've never played together. So I'd like to see them get some more reps, potentially maybe, again, 2-3 drives and get Rome a little more incorporated into the offense. That's my opinion.
I feel like the more the better with Caleb. The more reps, the better. I think he plays every at least the first half and against the Bengals. Maybe the first quarter in a first quarter and a quarter. Damn. Like going a little bit into the second quarter, and then I think he plays a little bit in the final season game too. Because if the Bengals aren't starting their starters, and it has been said that we're going against our number one defense has really because there's been reports that we're struggling against our defense, but they were like, if we go against them every day, they know what we're going to throw at them kind of deal. So it's good for them to go against a different defense and see what they can do.
I think they were saying they were trying to give them some tough looks as well, mix things up as to not give them that same look at the defense every day.
But our defense knows our offense,
Yeah, but no, I mean it's intentional that the defense is being particularly challenging. They're not, again, like you said, they're not giving them the same look every day. Like they're being very intentional with the looks that they're giving Caleb, and they're out there trying to.
I don't know. I just feel like the more he can play, I know there's an injury risk, but you just can't you can't play the game like that, and especially with a rookie.
Can't play scared, Tom. That's how you get hurt.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, with a rookie, he's
Yeah, get hurt.
got to get some reps out there. But
Cool.
that's
Yeah, I don't really have any differing opinions there. I think probably I like Luke's strategy, just the old school way, traditional. Keep him out for that last preseason game. Let some of those guys read. Reed and Komet bromance has been great to watch. I hate Hard Knocks too so far. I think they've very underserved the Bears team here with the content that's been released when it finally does inevitably get released. But yeah, it's been a major ball drop by Max. Willing to call it out. Also willing to collaborate with them as to look for areas of improvement.
Yep. Same. I'm willing to lend my services as well, in addition to Wargo, if the price is right. I mean, I'm not working for free.
Right. Yeah. I mean, can't take time away from the pod. So it's, this takes up a lot of our time, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think what we're gonna see against the Bengals here in the upcoming game, and we'll start to ramp it up here as we get into the season further. So,
Go Bears!
The season is upon us.
Go Bears!
Go Bears!